Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Automation Hub Sarthak, and this is my first video for 2025. I want to wish you all a very happy new year. I could not make videos for the last 3 days because I was in a hospital. I'm fine. I had some procedure done and I'm back home. So let's start. Python automation Hindi is up to date as per the last video. So Python automation English will have whatever the Hindi playlist already has. So we'll keep in sync. So this video is for typecasting in Python. I'll create a one Python file. Okay, and this is 3. Let's write typecasting in Python. So typecasting, as the name suggests, is nothing but converting a data type into another. We do it for a lot of reasons. Maybe the input would be a certain data type, the output would be a certain data type. So we tend to do this. So there are multiple data types that we learned in the previous video. We're just using those. I will try to sort down a few of them. I've already done this in the Hindi video. I'll try to sort down a few of the transitions from this type to that type. We'll keep it simple, keep it straightforward, keep it very quick. So let's go with the first one, wherein you are trying to convert an integer data type to float. Okay, it's very simple. Let's say I'll write num equal to 5. So there is an integer num, variable num whose value is equal to 5. So right now, what is the type? So if you see right now, the type is, it will show integer. Okay, so this is an integer data type. Now how will you convert this num into a floating kind of a value? So let's say converted value, you will do this float num. Okay, so now you have converted this num to, which was an integer, to a decimal point value. So if you want to print, so let's say type of what is this converted, and then you also print converted. So this one should be floating point number, and it will give you the value as 5.0 instead of 5. Save it, run as. You see? So this is very simple. This is how you convert integer to float. Okay, so let's do the reverse now. Float to integer. So this one, let's say floating number is equal to 1.5. Okay, so now if I want to print, and if I do this, it is coming, see, floating point. So now I have to convert this. So I'll write converted equal to int floating number. Okay, so you can print the converted value, and you can also print the type of converted, and it will see that it will become int. See, 1.5, which was a floating point number, has converted to 1.0, or rather 1. Okay, it has converted to a whole integer number in row number 13, and when you print it, it says that is an integer. So now it is no more a floating point number. So this is how you go ahead and do all this. 1 second. Okay, good. Similarly, let's do something string to integer. Okay, so let's say I'll write age equals to 21. So this is something which looks like like a string, but it has the capacity or the capability to become an integer. 21 can act as a string within double quotes in Python, but if you try to convert it, then it should easily convert into a whole integer number. Okay, so here age is a string with value 21. So now if you want to have a look, you can go ahead and see. You will see this will act as an str. See, it's a string right now. So now let me convert. I'll write converted equal to int age. Okay, so now let me print what this converted has become. You will see now this one will no longer print be string, it will be integer, and the value is 21. See, so now this one has become an integer. So what else? Integer to string. So let's say I equals to 10. Okay, so now I'll directly write, I'll not waste time. So let's say converted equal to str of I. Okay, print okay. So see here I is an integer value, whole number kind of a thing, which is 10. So at this point I'll convert this into a string. So how will I know that this has exactly become? It is easy, right? How? Even though it will prove itself it is 10, but how do you make this? So if I go ahead and do here, this one should not work. So technically, if it is correct, this one should not become 30. Rather than that, instead of 30, it will show some type error. See, because now what you're trying to add or join, this converted, this string cannot be added to a whole number like this. It is not going to work. Okay, so this is simply not going to work. So now if you are saying like this, so if I write will it work? Will it show 1030? Yes, it will show 1030, but this one will not work because this is a string plus integer, which is not possible. This one is fine because this one is a string and this one is also a string. So you can see here $10.30, but this portion is not valid. So for the time being, I'll mark it as a comment. So this is how you convert an integer to string. So now let's try with, let me give some space, string to float. There is one exception thing which I can also do. We'll do that later, not a problem. We'll do that in the last. So now let's do integer to string is over. Now let's do string to float. Guys, you can practice all these. I've already done that in the Hindi video, but here I'll go ahead and do it again. So let's say last name equal to 1.5. I mean, again, this makes no sense, but it's okay. I'm just doing some random numbers. I'm just saying last name, or you will say last digit, something like this. You just give a relevant name. So let's say there is a string last digit whose value is 1.5. This is a string, okay, and you're converting into float. So I'll write converted float is FLOAT, and here will be last digit, and now you print the type of whatever you converted and you print the converted value. So now this was float. See, it was string, now it converted to float. So now how will you prove that it is actually converted to float? Very simple. If everything is fine, you can do converted to 1.5. So this 1.5 conversion, because it is now a floating point number, to this 1.5 addition will give value as 3. You see? But in the same case, if I try to do this converted with like something as 1.5, this will throw a type error, because again that is something which is not allowed. Hopefully this clears off. Okay, see guys, it's very easy. You just need to play around with things. Integer to string to float is done. You can try float to string now. So let's say height is 6.2. Okay, now you want to convert this string height to float. Sorry, this height is nothing but this is a floating point number. This is a decimal number. My bad. I said strings. This is already done. So this is a decimal number, or it's a floating number, which is 6.2. I'm converting this into string. So here I'll write here str height. Okay. So float to string. So this was height was float. I'm converting that into a string data type. So print very simple. So now this is converted to string and the converted value is 6.2. So how is this looking? So if you do this with another string value, let's say 7.5, so it will act, the output will be 6.2 7.5. it will not be 13.7. See, makes sense? Great. So now it is working. What else? You can go ahead and do list to tuple. Very simple. So let's say my underscore list 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So converted equal to tuple. Okay. Print the converted value. It will print in the form of a tuple. See, if you want to print the type also, you can print the type. It is a tuple now. Clear? So now tuple to list. So let's say I'll write my tuple equal to, let's say 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, converted value equal to your list of you want to print the value of converted, and maybe you want to print what type it is, and then again print that value. It will show you. Okay, so it's a list. Okay, so this is tuple to list. We can also do string to list. So there are a lot of things you can do. You can play around. I'm just giving you some random numbers. Let's say text equal to hello world. So this is my string. Text is a string. Okay, and now I'm doing the converted value of this into a list. you will see what it look like. See, hello world. So this typically becomes a list. You see, it has converted to a list. Output is clear. String converting to list. You can do a list to set. Okay. So let's say my underscore list equal to 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 3 comma 4 comma 4 comma 4 comma 5 comma 5 comma 5 comma 5 comma 6. So here 3, 4 and 5 are being repeated. Okay. You will see the type is set and the repeated values are not allowed because set does not allow duplicate values. You see, it's proof. Okay, cool. Now what else can we do? Let's try some boolean. Let's try with integer to boolean. Okay, so let's say the num equals to 0. So this is a integer whole number num, converted value let's say is bool num. Print run this. Simple. So it is false. Okay, if you want to make it 1, it will be true. Simply go ahead, do the same thing, paste it here and just change 1. And this one will act as true. See, simple. Okay, now what else? String to boolean. Okay, so let's say text equal to hello world again, converted equal to bool text print type converted print converted. So this will also give you a true value. Okay, it's self-explanatory because you have something in there. Now there is a small change. We have done this string to integer. In the previous example of string to integer, it was very simple. I defined the string as something which can act like an integer. What if I declare a string like this? Like name equals to, or here I'll write let's say value equal to John. Now what is that John? It is nothing but a variable value which is nothing but a string. So the string value is John. Okay, so I'll write print type of value. You know this will come as a string. See, it is coming as a string. So far correct. Now I'm trying to convert this. Converted equal to int value. So now the problem is, what will this integer of JOHN look like? We do not know. So let me print the type of this converted value first. Printing the value we'll do later. It is having issues. Okay, you see, it is having issues. So even if you print, it will not work. So here there are some things that you have to be careful about. Will this John typically behave like an integer? No, it can only behave as a string. It will not literally work as an integer. This proves that this output and this output doesn't really sync with what we want to do. So this is not going to work. Okay, so this was just an exception. that even if you're trying to convert something that makes sense. Okay, because here when you're trying to convert something which does not make sense, it will give you an error as this invalid literal. Okay, so something that makes sense for conversion makes sense for conversion. If you are doing nonsense conversions, it will not work. This much as it is. So hopefully I'll continue more videos in sync. So please continue to watch my channel. Again, wishing you guys a very, very happy new year. Hopefully this year I'll be more healthy and I can continue more videos like this. Please do keep me in prayers. Thank you so much. Sarthak here, signing off.